Guess what, you guys? Welcome back to Raising Ohana.
I do not have a singer's voice today, as you will very much be able to tell.
Ooh.
But I've got great details and terrible tone. So we're going to stick with the good details today and the good information. So, what is this? Episode 5, season 4?
Wait, it's Friday.
What we're going to talk about is how we prepare our kids for marriage. Now, I know people say, Mormons get married so young, all this other stuff. Well, this is probably one of the reasons why, because we literally prepare our kids from a very young age. So we're just going to get straight into it.
That sounds really weird. We prepare them for marriage at a young age.
Yep. So
I would say we prepare them for adulthood at a young age.
I have wanted, we had this discussion actually. We chose to not have our kids have their own rooms. Why?
All right. Our discussion of this was because you will have to share a room the rest of your life. So once you get married, you have to...
Did you just say marriage?
Marriage.
You did.
Marriage is what brings us
we
together today.
Literally had Clay, Leah, and Raquel in a room. Shay and Wyatt in a room. Evie, Cora in a room. Now, for our family, that worked out perfectly because we have 2 girls, 2 boys, then 2 girls. And so our discussion, though, was we want them to share a room because they have to learn to share. They have to learn to get along. They have to learn to clean up, or at least find a way to come to some kind of consensus with your roommate on how you're going to keep things clean. Are you going to put a line of tape through the room, which Clay did try once?
We've done that. We have done all the funny, like, things that you see on all the, like, TV shows, the funny sitcoms. And honestly, we could do a whole episode just on why we think sharing a room is super healthy.
Let's go for it.
Parenting. So I never had my own room until I was probably 17 years old because I'm the youngest.
I always had my own room. And the one time that I did share with my younger sister, I'd tell her scary stories every night until my parents moved me out of the room to put me in my own room again. But they didn't put me into my own room. I was in the closet in our house in Beverly Hills. Now it sounds nice, but we were literally in like the junk of Beverly Hills. But it was actually the first house with indoor plumbing in Beverly Hills. 302 Doheny Way. You can look it up on Google. The house is still there.
You're fancy.
But I lived in the pantry in that house. The house before that, my bed was the closet. So a hallway closet with the 2x4 doors.
Oh my goodness.
There was a bed. My dad and I built it. Well, my dad built it and I held the nails. And there was a bed here. And then there was another kind of a bunk up top with a hole in it. And that's where my toys and all my stuff was. So I was in the closet in that house. So I never really got my own room until I was a teenager. But I had my own space.
Well, and I feel like it is a little bit different. Obviously, the dynamics of how old your kids are and the lineup of, you know, your genders and stuff. And so it did work out very perfect. But there were times when they were much younger where we had 3 in a room, you know, 2 girls and a boy or 2 boys and a girl, whatever, however that worked out. And honestly, though, sharing a room is where you learn so many things.
All of life's lessons.
Right? Like, if one of the things that you absolutely learn if you don't get along super well with your sibling is how to be in the same space as someone that you don't get along with. That is probably one of the most valuable things. Like right now in 2025, I swear a lot of people could learn, because how many people are like up in arms and rioting, like all the crazy things that are happening in the world. I feel like they didn't share a room. They didn't learn how to get along with someone that they don't agree with. Right? That you like have to live with someone that is probably opposite than you. Maybe you're the cleaner person and they're super messy, or opposite, like that person's uber clean and you're like want to put your stuff in a pile, but they can't handle you.
You're okay wearing BO filled shirts because
who
whatever.
Knows? Right? Like maybe you don't get along because who knows what it is? Like you have totally different interests. You have different styles of music that you want to listen to. And she or he is listening to like punk rock and you want to listen to like
Barbie posters
whatever.
On this side, Transformers posters on this side.
Right? Like that trait alone is so valuable in life. Having an understanding that, hey, we're different people. I don't like exactly what you like. I don't even agree with the opinions that you have, but we can stay in the same room and not like fight it out physically. That is something the world needs to learn right now.
So, with our kids, we don't tell them that they're sharing rooms so that they can get married. Like we don't throw that in there to stigmatize the whole situation and go crazy. So, but what we did is you need to learn to get along.
Mm-hmm.
You need to learn to clean together. You need to learn. And what was really nice is somebody is always kind of keeping somebody else in check. When one of them needs to be kept in check, the other person is either bribed not to, or they do, right? Like there's so many times one of our kids has come up and been like, hey, so-and-so totally brought their cell phone down in the room and they were watching stuff in their bed. We're like, okay. But then there's times where Shay would totally pay off Wyatt.
Oh, yeah.
Rach and I are sitting out in our hot tub, and for some reason, looking from our hot tub into our basement,
it goes like straight into their room.
It was like a glass door was open and reflecting, and we could see right into their room.
Oh my goodness.
And they were literally
headphones on,
11 p.m. at night, which is past like
playing video games
at this age. And they're playing video games on their Nintendo Switches with each other. And
they were like 14 or something.
And we're like, wait, are you kidding me? It's that. Wyatt is not keeping him in check anymore. Shay found out how to buy off his brother.
Well, and you know what? I guess that's a skill to learn how to do that. But there were times where our kids were, again, like Jay said, like someone had to keep someone else in check and was bossier than the other person or whatever. And so there were times where we totally flipped it. We separated the boys and the younger girls, and we flipped them. So there was a boy and a girl and a boy and a girl, and we made them share because the one of each of those pairs was always bossing the other one. And they wouldn't clean, right? So they were the cleaner ones. So we put
Clay went and grabbed anything Raquel felt valuable and smashed it.
Yeah, we had those moments too.
Yeah.
But we flipped it at one time, and we had the cleaner people share a room and then the messier people share a room. And it was quite interesting to see who in the messier group is going to be the one that actually picks up or the one that is in charge. So honestly, they learned a lot of skills because they shared rooms with actually everybody. Like we rotated them around as some were feistier and
you know what's funny? More. They all chose to go back to how it was originally set up.
That's right.
All of a sudden, the original way
they were like, no, I don't want to share with so-and-so anymore. I want to go back to my, like basically their sibling that was closer in age. And that was so funny.
Yeah, I loved that. I love how that happened.
I think it's good to give them a perspective from a different angle and then let them realize, oh, okay, this angle was actually not as good as I thought in my head. So honestly, the number one thing that we're starting out with is sharing rooms. What? After we came home from our honeymoon, it was like so hard for you to like, can you just pick up your shirts? Can you just do that? Like I was like so frustrated probably at the end of month 1 after picking up your laundry.
I am hearing this for the first time.
The first year of marriage was super difficult for us because we had to learn how to communicate. And that is something that we'll talk about a little bit later in this episode is communication and teaching them how to do that.
Things don't just go away if you don't talk about them.
Amen. Nothing goes away. All right. So sharing rooms, definitely a big one.
Okay. Then when they were a little bit older than that, Rachel started this amazing thing where each day of the week, a different child and adults, but a different member of the family was in charge of cooking. Monday was so-and-so, Tuesday next, and they had to take care of breakfast, lunch, and dinner, and sometimes a snack in between.
Do you know how this all started?
How did this all start?
We lived in Hawaii, and I'm sure when you guys have toddlers, you will realize that when you set the table, the toddler wants to sit next to mom or dad. It's like the treasured seat at the dining table, and they would fight over this seat. So like wherever mom sits or dad, if there's one in between or however that works out, sitting by one of the parents is like, I need to sit by mom or I need to sit by dad. And they would fight over it every single day.
I don't even remember this.
Yeah, I know. Like every single day. So long ago, honestly, I think we probably only had 4 kids at the time of our 6. And I decided, all right. We're choosing days of the week. And we're going to go in order. So Clay, you get Monday. Raquel, you get Tuesday. Shay, Wednesday. Wyatt, Thursday. And then we would rotate through again. And that is how they chose days. And that day of the week kind of moved into the day that they cook, the day that they get a privilege, the day that they do certain things. Because when kids are really little, right? Like we all fight over, the girls fight over the pink cup or the boys fight over the certain color cup that they love.
We had to get rid of those different color
right?
things so quickly.
We had to just like buy one solid color. And
the color doesn't make it taste different. I swear I yelled that multiple times.
Because we would buy the IKEA like kids like dishes. And so all the different colors, and they for some reason hated green or something. Anyways, but that is how cook days started, is because they wanted to sit next to mom or dad at the table, and that person would do Monday. And they would also like go get the mail from the mailbox, because they would fight over that too. I get the mail. Like, all the silly things. So we just designated days, because I was like, you get to do everything on Monday or whatever it is. And that's how we started.
So is that why you wanted 6 kids? So we'd get Sunday off? Or
oh, you mean you don't have to cook? That's right.
True.
You don't have to cook.
That's true.
No, there was no plan there, but that's how we started the cook plan. So when they were younger, they would all help me cook, and they would learn different skills. And then Calais at the age of like 6 was already making microwave oatmeal. She would pull out all the things for like breakfast cereals and things like that. And she would help make sandwiches. And then as we got to probably 9 years old, that's when we really implemented everybody into the cook plan. So we would give each kid a day of the week, and we would help them choose meals. And yeah, that means a lot of mac and cheese, a lot of ramen.
Yeah.
A lot of like easy things. But
PB&Js.
We would introduce new things, and they would help me cook, or I would help them cook the dinner, right? Which would mean like a lot of me cooking the dinner. But cooking, and not just like, hey, come and cook this, but like coming up with a meal plan, what you want to eat.
No, they'd have to actually give you all the details. So on Monday, we'd go shopping, and you'd be like, okay, if it doesn't get to me today, you do not get to cook that on your day. And you have to do something else.
You got to figure out what we do have in the house. So yeah, they had to send in their shopping list. They had to come up with a meal plan, and then they had to execute and cook it. And there's a lot of still like support. Who's cooking? Why isn't no one cooking at 4 o'clock?
Oh my gosh. And they'd be like, okay, at 11:30, I can start lunch.
Oh my gosh, we're not eating lunch at like 2. Oh my gosh.
Because Raquel, now what was interesting is PB&J, all that stuff, there was a lot of sandwiches in the beginning. Mm-hmm. But then it got to where Clay is cooking gumbo and Raquel is doing these like super elaborate pasta salads.
I mean, like she would put on the shopping list like, Mom, I need this like special cream. And I'm like, what for? She's like, oh, well, this da-da-da risotto da-da-da-da thing. And I was like, whoa, okay,
yeah. So
sure.
they started. What was awesome was PB&J and ramen and mac and cheese didn't last as long as you would think it did, because they got bored.
Oh yeah. They, and not just like someone would be like, oh, I'm just going to make PB&J, or I'm just going to make mac and cheese. And then there would be a revolt in the home.
And not against mom, not against
me,
dad.
which was actually nice. But it was like everyone else, all the other kids are like, I don't want to eat mac and cheese again. You better cook something else.
So this is why the parents weren't the bad people.
It was awesome. And honestly, having a cooking plan, having them be the chefs, made them appreciate meals so much more. So when they got a meal made for them, there was far less complaints. And occasionally if someone really didn't like one thing, they just wouldn't eat it. But we would say, hey, you eat what you can, and you can pull out the one thing. But most of the time,
garbanzo beans.
I love chickpeas. But they, for the most of the time,
I think Raquel would cook with those because she knew Clay hated them.
That's absolutely true. I think sometimes we had little things, but it was kind of like they found something they liked and they would make it over and over again. Like the boys absolutely love oatmeal in the morning, and it's super easy, but Evie hates it. Like hates it so much that she would skip breakfast, because we're not cooking 2 meals. You eat what's provided. And she's probably like, that meal was the one that she like refused. I remember over
Evie
time.
Just like putting like 3 little
grains
of oats in her bowl. She'd be like,
I ate it, Mom. And I'm like, good. That's your breakfast.
Now can I have a snack?
No. You're definitely going to get some pushback for sure. But this cooking plan honestly just helps. Like nobody wants picky like kids. Honestly, like it is so hard to feed picky kids. And so if you teach them to cook, they appreciate other people's cooking.
Yep.
They are more willing to try new things because they know how hard it is to cook.
Yeah. Well, and they feel when somebody's like, oh, no, I don't want to eat that. And they're like,
wait, what?
do you know how much time I put in? Instead of it just being mom,
Yeah.
right? That's like, oh, mom. And then what do I want to say here? If it's just mom, you kind of are desensitized to offending mom for not eating something. But when it's like a different person each time, you're like, and if it's yours and somebody does it to you, now you've felt that feeling. And so it's way better. But hard to set up. You have got to be very, very focused and determined.
Well, and this is years. It doesn't happen in 1 year. It takes years. Like, I think it took us a good 3 years of frustration, off and on, me doing a lot of cooking. And then because we do homeschool, it helps that every now and then I was like, all right, we're just going to learn how to teach everyone how to measure these certain things so I don't have to tell everyone every single Tuesday or Wednesday or whatever.
And how to set up a time schedule for cooking. Like, if you're going to do a pasta type thing, 45 minutes bare minimum.
Well,
if
and
you're
they
going
would
do sandwiches, 15 minutes just to get everything out, to get it all organized. Like, sandwiches don't take you 35 seconds.
It's so funny. They will read a recipe, and recipes lie. It does not take you 20 minutes to cook that recipe. It takes you 10 minutes just to pull out the ingredients, like Jace just said. And then if you're a teenager or a tween-ager who has never cooked before or doesn't know how to cook this thing,
finding the ingredients may take you 3 hours.
And honestly, measuring out things and learning how to like read and mix sauce and add some more ingredients, it takes 2 hours. So for dinner, I'm like, yeah, you got to start at 4 so we can eat by 6.
We had so many meals at 8 p.m.
Oh, so many. But we are finally to a point where
it's been years that it's been great.
It's been years in the making, and it's been great for many, many years, because when somebody older makes something fancy, like a new pasta, like the gumbo. Oh, somebody's like, oh, good job, Raquel. That was so yummy. And then that younger kid's
Evie's
like,
ears perk
I
up.
want to try pasta. I want to try this new recipe. And so it really like sparks that interest. It gets them really excited. So honestly, the best thing that you can do before your kid gets married is to teach them at least 5 meals. Because that was one thing my mom said. You got to learn how to cook 5 meals for your husband, or before, like when you're engaged, she was like, hey, can you cook 5 meals? And we did. We did the same thing when I grew up.
Hey, wait.
Is I had a day of cooking.
Who cooked for who first?
That is true. Fun little dating little story is I went over to Jace's house and he helped me do some. It was actually marketing that I had class.
My university. Human biology.
That came later.
Is this when
you mean human anatomy? Aww. And then he cooked for me fish, salmon, pasta, which was amazing. Jace is the type of person who doesn't follow a recipe, and he just throws stuff in and it works.
I'm like Remy, is a rat. I can just put everything in. I sniff it a little bit. I go, oh, it needs a little bit more of the oregano, a little bit of thyme, and oh, c'est très bon.
Oh my goodness.
En fait, I've made a great
He is
meal.
really, really good. But does he cook all the time? No. He needs to cook more often. I love it. But he did cook for me first. And do you remember what I cooked for you?
I do.
What's it called?
Enchiladas.
No. Chicken tetrazzini.
Oh, chicken. Oh my gosh. Like Americans want to be Italians. They use these big words. But
that is an Italian word, tetrazzini.
I know it is. But who finished whose plate off at that meal?
I know. That's where we knew we were in love. I couldn't finish my dinner. I was like, Jace, will you finish this? And he was like,
first time meeting the family at the family's house. And she's like, I'm done with this. And I'm like, can I have it? She's like, yeah.
I said, do you want it? I think I offered it.
I don't know.
And you said yes. Because I think
whatever happened, I finished your plate off. And your mom side-eyed me when I did. I don't know what the side-eye meant, but she was like,
I think she was like, I think that was like how close are these two? We're unsure about this.
Their mouths are touching the same food.
I mean, that was just a couple months before we got married. So I felt like I needed to have that cooking talent underway. And I definitely knew how to like follow a recipe and cook. My mom did me a solid on that.
Right. That's what Clay just cooked for us, right? That same thing.
Oh, I probably did make enchiladas for you too. I like the enchiladas one.
Okay, but this one was
Tetrazzini was the first one. Anyways.
chicken tetrazzini.
Tetrazzini.
Me prego.
Oh, Raquel would be so proud.
Spacalavacci. That actually means, that means
Spacalavacci.
slap you in the face. But okay, let's keep going. Okay, so cooking. Now, everyone gets to cook. After everyone gets to cook, there's cleanup.
Oh my goodness.
So now, Miss Rachel over here, I say Mrs., but Miss Rachel, that's what other people say, created a chore wheel.
I don't think I created the chore wheel. I just
You
made it for our
created
family.
our family's chore wheel. Literally, chores on the background, people on the wheel.
Okay, is this foreign to other people?
This is foreign to everybody.
Is this what?
I am telling you, it is
I grew
foreign.
up with this, and this was not foreign.
This is definitely in like,
Are you serious?
yeah, Mandarin Chinese right now.
Okay.
So then names on the middle wheel.
Wait.
Just a second. I'm not done with this amazing explanation. And then once a week.
Or once every 2 weeks. Guess what? I grew up with the chore wheel. So this was not invented by myself. And I think many other parents used it. So I need people to comment down below. Or if you're listening to this podcast, go over to our YouTube channel or our Instagrams and tell me, have you ever had a chore wheel? Not like a list somewhere. Did you have a wheel?
No.
Honestly, I like remember making this with my mom, and you took the large plate and then the spoon. What am I talking about? The bowl. What? Seriously, guys?
And
okay,
girls.
I'm floored. So before our kids learned to cook, they did chores, and they got on the chore wheel when they were probably 4 or 5 years old. And I think it helped because our number one child, Clelea, was very
we call her a listicle. Everything has to be list based.
She was very reward oriented as well. She loved stickers on her charts and earning rewards with stickers. She loved checking off that box, and so did I. So it was like, ooh, this is fun for me to create for you, and she loved it.
And Raquel just wanted to find the stickers and put them up there without doing it.
I remember that when she was like 3, she would just be like, "Look, Mom, I have 3 stars," and we're like, "What?" But that was really fun. So we created a sticker reward chart, and when they would finish a chore, they'd put a sticker on, and then those stickers turned into points later on in the years, and that turned into like using that to buy mommy store. But the chore wheel did start long ago, and honestly, kids love to help out when they're 2. They love to like gather all the dirty laundry and put it in a basket, or 3 years old, and when they're even 3 or 4, they love to like wash the table. Kids love to help out.
And then after they're 8, they hate all of it. But if you've built that and you've set that up as just how it works, what it does is nothing is fair, but at least it's consistent. And so with the wheel, it's, hey, all week long, I got to sweep the kitchen. I know it. It's there. I'm going to stop fighting it, even though Shay always fought it. And I'm just going to get it done.
I think there's so many kids that fought different chores. And they have a preference. Like some people love to clean dishes more than they love to clean toilets, or they love to vacuum or whatever. Like there is a preference, or I guess maybe there's an order.
Would look up to, they'd be like, okay, so in 2 weeks I get to be the vacuumer again. That's awesome. Okay, I got this.
And so I feel like if you're ever wondering how to start chores, if you have young kids and toddlers, or even if your kids are teenagers and don't help out yet, do it. You're going to do them a solid by teaching them how to clean.
Now, what this does, I
was going to say, our kid, Shay, our child number 3,
oh my gosh,
is living in the Philippines on a LDS a religious mission, which we'll talk about in another episode. But he just got there like a week ago or so.
To his apartment, almost 2 weeks now.
In a jungle, right? Like he is up in the top of an island, jungly, not in like a big city or anything.
Dirt roads.
Very humble situation.
And what did he spend 8 hours doing at this new apartment or house?
He cleaned and cleaned and cleaned.
8
He
hours.
gave us a tour of the apartment. I'm going to say it was...
Well, first what he showed me was he grabbed a spoon and the countertop
in the
and
grout.
Went like this in the grout.
Oh.
And it was like an ice cream scooper, getting that like really nice scoop of ice cream.
Nasty.
It was mold.
curling.
So his companion, the person that he will be with while he's here, has been there for 12 weeks, never used the microwave, never used the stove, never used the oven, doesn't even use the sink. Their bar of soap next to the sink had mold spores growing on it.
Mold. How does soap grow mold? This was so crazy. And we didn't say, Shay, you got to clean that house. But he was all like, we got to talk to him.
Before he even called us, he had gone to the corner market, bought some bleach, some soap, scrubbies, and
baking
some rags.
soda, other things. Yeah.
And he went to town for 8 hours. And he was video chatting with us as he's cleaning. He put his phone up. And he was happy as a clam cleaning this mold-encrusted, nasty kitchen. So happy. He wasn't ticked off. He wasn't like, oh, I can't believe. No, he did this of his own free will and choice.
And you know what? I think because when you do have, I cannot live in a crazy, messy bedroom. Like, it stresses me out when it's so crazy. Like, I'm not the cleanest, as in like super OCD clean. But when there's like,
your sister is.
My sister is. But when there's piles everywhere, it does stress me out. I do feel like your soul can rest when things are a little bit tidier. But I think that Shay did that because I think he knew, like, okay, it's going to just be a little bit easier if the house is cleaner, right? If the kitchen is cleaner, I can cook in it. I can like, even if he doesn't cook, make food on the counter.
Hadn't eaten in that kitchen in 12 weeks. They only eat out. Okay, so they only eat out.
So crazy. Like, that's expensive.
His meals are less than $2 a meal.
That's
For a full meal, it's less than $2.
But I told Shay, I said, hey, if you want to like, because they have a budget, they only get so much money a week or every 2 weeks to pay for all the things. If you want to buy something, even if it's like going to the thrift shop or a regular shop and buying extra socks or, you know what I mean? Like special soap or whatever, like any regular supplies to even like other souvenirs or things that you want to buy. Maybe you save money by cooking at home. Like, right? Like cooking rice and beans and meat at home is very inexpensive.
It's much cheaper.
And he is all about sacrificing one thing so that he can get something cooler.
Absolutely. Shay can save up better than anybody.
He is really good at that. And so he used his cleaning skills that he has been using for, I mean, like 13 years now.
I wonder if he put his flatmate or his companion on a chore wheel.
Yeah. We'll ask him on next week.
50-50. Bathroom,
you
kitchen.
get the bathroom?
Bathroom, kitchen.
I would be so proud. I would be so proud. And you know what? Actually, Raquel did that in college.
Yeah.
She didn't make a full wheel, but I think there was just like a list. And she like got all of her roommates together when she was in college and was like, all right, guys, who wants to do this? And who wants to? She like actually communicated with her like roommates and like set up a plan.
Yeah.
Just so they could have areas because it makes it just run so much nicer.
Yep.
Now, it doesn't have to be pristine clean, but these are skills that your child needs to learn before they move out of the house and especially before they get married, because learning how to clean dishes, wipe counters down, honestly, bathrooms is so disgusting if you do not know how to clean that.
Oh, yeah.
And that will be a battle
and our kids
in your marriage.
know how to clean that.
So honestly, chores are super important. And
this is a great transition. So the next one I wanted to talk about was service. Because college times are very teenage and then into college time, it's a very selfish time in your life.
It really
it's all
is.
about you, your credits, your grades, your school, your homework, your papers, your books,
your
car.
future, what you want to do. It doesn't even, like, you don't even think of somebody else because there's no one, say, attached to you, right? Like, you're out of the house, so you don't have family members to think of or that you have to take care of. You're not married yet, so you don't have, like, that spouse or that, you know, partner with you that you have to like converse with to make a decision, right? It is all selfish.
Because to have a good relationship, there needs to be a level of service. Opening the door for the other one, or getting them a glass of water when you go to get one for yourself.
Or when you do laundry, helping fold their socks or helping fold things. Like, are you going to do laundry and be like, here's yours, I'm going to just do only mine? Are you going to help hang up their clothes?
So we have focused on, during different holidays, like I think at Christmas, we have a little creche or a little manger, and there's straw. Whenever you've done service for somebody, you go put a little piece of straw in Jesus's manger, right? We also, was that what it was?
Yeah, that's it. Mm-hmm.
We also took our children to Africa to help do and dig and prepare wells for these communities and these tribes.
And part of that was also raising money to send to those tribes and those communities
so that they could
could build the wells too, right? Not just like physically building stuff, but also like working in other ways to send money in that direction.
Yep.
Honestly, I feel like service is the way that we learn to love others. And
honestly, you aren't truly, if you have ever truly served somebody, tell me what joy you felt in your life greater than when you honestly sacrifice something in the service of somebody else.
And we're not talking like, I'm going to do this so that my sister can let me borrow her outfit or her makeup, right? Like there's no
true service.
There's no reward at the end of like something that you're going to get out of it. It's giving of yourself and only thinking of this person and how you can better them. Not even like, oh, I got to thank you. Like it's not even doing it for the thank you.
Yeah.
This is true service. And when you do that, when you openly open your heart and you try to help someone in some way, you just grow immense love for that person.
So when you're having a hard day in your marriage, but you have those moments where they've served you, it's really hard to demonize them if you can at least kind of keep a few of those things of service in your recollection. But what's interesting is we focus so much on service throughout the years for our kids.
Mm-hmm.
All three of our oldest kids,
Mm-hmm.
when they came of age, Shay's wasn't a surprise, but Clelea surprised us and told us she was going to leave on an LDS mission.
Total surprise. Huge
surprise.
shocker.
Raquel
also surprised us.
Totally surprised, but it wasn't even Raquel. She wasn't even going to tell us till it came.
Yeah.
But the dude she was dating at the time let that one out of the bag. And then Shay, he's been telling us he was going to do it since forever. And so what I love is how we've tried to focus on service with our kids and teaching them how to serve others. And they all chose on their own to give 18 months to 2 years of their lives, literally to drop everything. Clay had a crazy successful YouTube channel. She was making more money than we did in our adulthood for a very long time, and it died.
Honestly, like she sacrificed her future career to go and do this. I mean, she sacrificed tens of thousands of dollars that she would have made just by putting up regular content, whatever she was doing.
Way more than that. But
by going on this mission. So she sacrificed a bit of her career for this mission.
And so did Raquel. Raquel at her university, she was the photographer there. She was getting all the cool deals. She was riding helicopters with the president, all the cool things. And she literally stopped all of it, got her mission call, moved in with us in Scotland for a little while, and then left from Scotland to her mission in Italy.
Right? And Shay, straight from high school. So he graduated early. He graduated in December, middle of his senior year. And then in February, left to go on this mission.
Yep.
And now he's in the Philippines.
And we don't push this. Like, I know in our religion, it may seem like it. But for our kids, so we have, it's an old phrase, but we teach them correct principles and let them govern themselves. Mm-hmm. We literally try to do this. In the last episode, we talked about how all these other parents, when they have a problem or when their kids have an issue,
they step in.
They literally step in and try to call us. We're like, well, we have no idea what you're talking about. Like, well, your son dumped our daughter. And we need that to change because we really like him. Like
we don't do any of that.
Well, he's the one that chose this.
That's his decision.
Like,
we want to support him.
We know that you guys didn't want him to. We're like, no. He literally didn't even tell us he had done that. You aren't actually letting us know some of this. And so teaching correct principles, you actually have to live those principles first. Right? You have to teach service. You have to serve others. You have to do these things. I do not do the chore wheel very well.
Dad doesn't do the chore wheel at all. No, but Dad's chores are bigger projects that I can't do. And so he does help out and he does help clean and stuff. But for sure on the service, and we try to do service in our community when there's an opportunity to, maybe help some older person in our community move or even if they're just a family moving into the like neighborhood, we
Actually,
try to help
yesterday,
there.
2 days ago, there was a guy that bought the house across the street from us.
Mm-hmm.
And they looked like they were going to drop this couch on him. I said, Wyatt, let's go over there. He's like, Dad, we got to get this. No, let's go. He cut himself off. I was like, no, let's go help. They look like they need it.
Yeah.
So we literally parked the car. We were in a hurry. We ran over there. We carried like 4 things of furniture. All these old men, like all of them, 70 plus. And we ran in there, and then the truck still wasn't unloaded. So we went into the truck, brought all the other things out of the truck into the garage, and then we bounced.
And like, they may think this is just, okay, that was like 20 minutes of work. We're like done. And yay, I feel good. But like to those older gentlemen who have a hard time, that could have been hours of their evening.
Oh my gosh.
And pain from moving stuff. And like, that just lifts other people. And we fully believe that service is something that's going to bring you closer to somebody, that will help honestly lift people's spirits and help them be happy. You know, like honestly, service is something that changes the atmosphere around you.
So that leads into the next one, which is beliefs. We have very much tried to live our beliefs and not impose them on others, not force them on our kids, but actually live our beliefs because we want our children to have their own beliefs. They don't have to have our beliefs. We want them to believe in something, though. And
it is proven in many statistics that when you do have a belief in a higher being, whether it's a God that we believe in or something different, that your relationships last longer, that they can have a better outcome in the relationship.
Even if it's that you believe in the universe, right? The movie The Secret came out when we were younger. And like, it was, ooh, The Secret. But it was basically just put good out there and good comes back.
That's right. And honestly, like that higher belief, just believing in something higher than yourself, helps you be a better person because you have this thought that I can become better. I can evolve. I can acquire characteristics and attributes where I can improve upon myself. And that alone, I think, levels up your relationships. It levels up your experiences in life. And so having good beliefs, having positive beliefs can improve your future. And that, especially for marriage, is super important, right? Like if you don't think that there's something better than yourself out there, why try? You're just going to like, you don't want to get better. You don't even want to try to be better in any way. You're just going to like, I'm just going to like do whatever. I'm going to like kind of like eat whatever, become, like not really fulfill any of like these dreams or aspirations. Cause like, what do I care?
I don't know that because I don't have that kind of belief. And so I actually don't. I would love to talk to, I have some friends that don't have those, but they are full functioning. They do all that. But where I think we would go with this is in marriage, you really need to find somebody with beliefs that at least link up with yours.
Yes.
Right? Because marriage is hard enough with money and sex and children and other things that if you have completely differentiated belief systems, that throws something else in the mix. Now, can you get married and have different beliefs? Absolutely.
You just got to learn to communicate about those
just
things.
Like sharing a room with anything else. You got to find where things go and what you're willing to give and not give, what they're willing to give and not give, and then find your balance because it can go like this, irregardless of what the beliefs are. But for our children, how we have prepared them is that you do need to have a set of beliefs. And what's been awesome is sending our kids out at 17 to college. Mm-hmm. Who knows what the crap they're going to believe?
Oh my gosh. And they came home with some fun and interesting thoughts.
that we didn't try to change, but we really wanted them to explain it. And what was interesting was what they learned in the explanation of these new, we'll call it creeds that they were adopting. Mm-hmm. These new thoughts and these new systems, and asking them lots of questions. And they went, wait a second. Yeah, that doesn't really make sense. And I wouldn't try to lead them in a way that would send them right back to me. But I really do I love putting on the other shoe. I love learning other perspectives. I think it's so much fun. I was serving a mission. I was serving a mission for my church, but I was meeting Islamic missionaries in the park going over the Quran with them because I really wanted to learn. Then I got in trouble because I wasn't supposed to be doing that, but I loved it.
I think it is good because if you have that opportunity to listen to others and to learn, and honestly, that's probably what the world is missing right now is having the tolerance to listen to other people and to be respectful and be like, oh, that's interesting. Okay, I'm going to listen to that.
Other perspectives aren't bad.
No. They're all just
other
differences.
Perspectives.
Yep.
There are some bad perspectives, but just because somebody's perspective is different from yours doesn't make it wrong. Doesn't make it bad. Doesn't make you righteous and holy and them demonic. And that's what the world is trying to get everybody to do right now, is completely polarizing everything.
And I think that going back to those beliefs, if you just have some kind of moral or standards that you live by, that is something that can help you move forward in life and honestly make it through some of the crap of life. And if you can have some of those similar morals and beliefs as your spouse, that is something that's going to make marriage a little bit less
contentious. You can lean on each other and understand. Now, if you have different beliefs in your marriage, you can, if you're good at communicating, you can talk those through and come up with things and be like, oh, well, from my side, I would think this, this, and that. And they'd be like, oh, interesting. My side would think this and that. And hopefully
can communicate through those things.
Level up through those.
Which actually leads us to our next one, and that is communication. So I feel like communication is something that
nobody does.
And we've been working on it. We are not perfect. We still have disagreements and arguments and things like that. But communication is something that we've kind of focused on since the beginning of our marriage. When Jason and I were dating, Jay said, hey, have you ever heard of The Color Code by Taylor Hartman? And I actually had, because my mom was into like all these different types of personality books.
Myers-Briggs and Color
she would read all these different ones. And I was like, that's cool. And I find them so interesting. Like psychology is so interesting. So I'd kind of heard of this one. And he was like, oh, well, he's a family friend of ours. We're going to go out to dinner. And I was so intimidated because I was like, oh my gosh, it's kind of like, you know, like meeting a psychologist. Is he going to like read me? Is he going to like figure out what I'm thinking? Like what's going to happen? It was a little crazy.
He's actually just going to sit there and judge you all night long.
Judgment. Oh my gosh, that was so crazy. But that was really fun. He's such a great guy. Taylor Hartman, who wrote Color Code, which is now called The People Code. He is amazing. And his book is not just like your personality type, but it goes back to your motive and why people do certain things and understanding other people's motives and how you can communicate in different ways, right? According to those
It's basically
motives.
Teaching you how to speak that person's language. Right? If I'm yelling in German at Rach, but she only speaks French, screaming at her in German isn't going to help her understand what I'm trying to get across to. That was not German.
That was not German. I have no idea what I was saying.
But that's where it all goes to, is how to communicate. And so Rach and I, we actually had a pretty hard time for years because I didn't understand her motive for things. And so I try to speak with her as if she cared about relationships and intimacy, and not sexual intimacy, but just intimacy within relationships. And what I didn't understand was she actually values productivity more than that, because that does make the relationship. And so I'd be talking to her over here when actually I needed to talk to her over here.
And honestly, like learning, and there's all sorts of different personality like things that you can learn about, and I think they're helpful. But this one was really helpful to us because it taught us how to communicate. So years ago, it was actually during COVID, like 2020, we were having a really hard time in the family. We had like some kids like just kind of sneaking out and lying a lot. And we were like trying to understand and trying to help them. And then we had other kids that were fighting with other siblings, like really, really crazy. We were fighting a lot. It was just a really contentious time and not actually related at all to what was happening in the world.
No.
It was all just within our home. And so...
Well, because it was in the beginning of it. Nothing had actually locked down.
Yeah.
It was right in the beginning. It was like early March before things got crazy.
And so I think that what we did was we were like, hey, we really need to sit down and understand each other as a family, understand different personalities, understand how to get along and communicate better. So we had Taylor Hartman come to our home, which he doesn't do. We had to like pay him some extra things and convince him, do like a little family kind of like, hey.
Okay. I used guilt. It's okay. Just kidding.
So he came and he did a 2-day, intensive kind of activities with us, like some of those team building activities, some of those like personality type funny, like questionnaire things. And he taught us how to communicate with each other. And it was amazing. Therapy can be incredible. It was a whole family therapy group. Now, little warning, don't go to any therapist because there's some crazies out in the world.
No, she means don't go to just any therapist.
Yes, be very careful.
Don't go to any therapist.
No, don't go to just anyone. Be specific about who you want to go to. But it was exactly what our family needed because, like, if we're going back to the languages, you know, like Raquel is speaking Italian and Clay's speaking Portuguese, and, you know, like Shay is speaking like Cebuano, right? Like these are actual things that they speak now. But there's no way that they could understand each other. But
dude, we all literally ended up just screaming over each other.
Yeah.
Because we didn't understand when Shay would want to do something, I'd think he wanted to because of this. But actually, he wanted to because of that. And that completely changed my perception of what he wanted to do. I was like, oh, well, if you want to go and do that for that reason, that makes way more sense than what I thought. So it just helped all of us understand each other's motives. And once you can understand the motive behind why somebody does something, it completely changes it.
And the communication got so much better. If you want to learn a little bit about how we parent with the color code / people code, we actually did an interview with Taylor Hartman a couple seasons ago.
We should drive up to his house and do a new video one.
That would be epic. Honestly, he is incredible. He is super brilliant. And I think that his information is totally inspired. We have so many friends at our age now, which is mid-40s, that are getting divorced or have been divorced. And it's way greater now than it's probably been in centuries, like in the years past.
I can't fit all of our very good personal friends on two hands that have separated recently.
And it breaks our hearts. And honestly, like valid reasons for sure. But some people could have had better communication earlier on in their marriage.
All could have.
We
can.
We definitely could improve a lot. But I'm saying, like, I think that if you learn to communicate before you get married, as well as in your marriage, like start communicating, you can avoid so many things. And again, that goes along with trusting your spouse and being open to share this information and trusting that they're not going to make you feel bad and things like that, right? And you yourself giving that same trust back, like not shaming someone or making them feel bad when they, you know, make a mistake or do whatever, however that looks like. But that is good communication, because if Jace is going to tell me something, I shouldn't make him feel bad for something he did, and we should work out whatever that situation is, and vice versa.
Even though when I tell her stuff like that, I definitely feel bad. So I already
and
feel
we
very
all
bad.
feel bad for things that we know probably weren't the best choice. And that's, I mean, like, honestly, I think that's built in so that we can correct ourselves. But when it comes to your marriage, communication is key in all that you do. Learning to cook, you got to learn to communicate with your spouse on, hey, will you cook tonight? I'll cook tomorrow night, whatever that looks like, right? Like, you got to learn how to talk to each other, or else your marriage is going to fail.
Yeah, absolutely. Because when you stop talking, then resentment, then other stuff, then you forget about all the good stuff. Anyways, so now,
okay. So I'm going to say, before we move on to the next one, go check out that podcast. We'll link it down below, the one that we did with Taylor Hartman. And we'll also link the books down below that we gave Clay about communication.
Well, and some of our other friends, we were at their kid's wedding the other day, and we gave them that book. But then, Rach, in both occasions,
this is going to be my wedding gift to everybody, guys.
Snuck this one book
into their getaway car.
Both of their getaway cars. And what's the title of the book? Because if we say this word too much, YouTube's going to keep the video down. So
it's called The Act of Love.
The Act of Love.
So my mom This book is an older book. It's been around for a while, not like crazy old, but my mom gave this book to all of my siblings when they got married, and then to myself, to us when we got married.
Yep.
Literally on the wedding day or right before we left for a honeymoon, she was like, read this book. And she didn't really preface anything. She didn't say anything else besides that. But I want to give props to my mom because I am one of the few people that I know of that actually got the sex talk at 8 years old, that got told anything about sex. And so she gave the talk to all of me and my siblings. And thus, we did that for all of our kids.
Yep.
And this book was so good for like marriage and for sex. And, we learned a lot. It comes from a place of religion. So it talks about, I think the author is, I don't know if he's like a priest or a preacher of some sort, but he is religious, and he talks about how the act of love is ordained by God, and it's a beautiful thing. There's no shame in it. It's a beautiful thing. And it talks about basically how the female body works, how the male body works.
So many people that I know, the thing that failed first
is sex.
Was this.
Yep.
That's what failed before many other things. That's what broke down. And so we talked a lot about communication. We talked a lot about communicating while naked, because a lot of our friends and a lot of people we know, once clothes come off, they don't talk anymore. It's just like everybody should know what's supposed to happen.
And this book is actually really good about that. It is a very respectful book, and it kind of goes into that you should communicate, and you should have talks before, during, or after any of that type of situation, and maybe all of it,
Then we talked about how guys, here, I'll use a bad analogy.
Oh, I'm so worried.
In the beginning of cars, there's an engine you have to crank to turn on. Takes a while. Now we have cars that it's a push button start, and that's how quick you can turn it on. And I said, basically, that's the difference between girls and guys. So love is much longer than the last little portion of it, because we're not going to go into all that here. But that whole act takes a lot longer. It can start with putting your hand on the small of their back while they're doing dishes, then giving them a little kiss on the cheek while you're doing this, and warm it up to the finale. But that's very different, because guys, woo, here we go.
And that's a really great book to have when if you need to have that talk with an 8-year-old or 9-year-old or whatever age around there. It is How to Talk to Your Kids About Sex by Linda and Richard Iyer. Anyways, but this book.
Wait, those two are the ones that gave Rach that award.
That's right. I got an award, you guys. I got an award for family and parenting topics. So that was super exciting. Anyways, but we feel very strongly, more than anything we've talked about, that communication in the marriage and communication during love or with love related is so important to a marriage. And we see it firsthand with all of our friends, family members as well, getting divorced, and how certain things failed because of the lack of communication. And not necessarily around sex, but lack of communication somewhere in the marriage, right? Yeah. Which can lead to lying, which can be deceitful, can be to whatever extent that happens, that leads to divorce.
Think of any rom-com.
Oh my gosh.
You name any rom-com.
Somebody lies about something or keeps a secret. Yep.
With bad communication and then spirals into a shiz show.
Oh my gosh.
Right?
It's so frustrating.
The communication is what starts, lack thereof, starts everything. Every Hallmark movie. Wait, you didn't tell me you were a florist. Or you didn't tell me you were a stockbroker. I thought you were just a florist. It's like, I left that life behind me. I didn't want to tell you. Right?
Oh my gosh,
always,
right? Every
nonstop.
Story is about bad communication, lying, some sort of thing like that creates that turmoil. And that is the recipe, you guys. That is exactly what's going to happen. If you forget to tell someone, right? You omit the truth, that is a lie. If you embellish too much, you accentuate, you're telling a lie, right? If you don't have a good communication, there is going to be
it's a slippery
major
slope.
problems.
It's a slippery slope.
So going back to those books, and I gave them to some other friends of ours where their kids are getting married, and I'm probably going to give them to all the weddings that are coming
no
up.
way those other kids read the books. They're like, what prude gave me a book about this?
I hope they do. Honestly, I told their parents too. So we'll see. But it is a very valuable book. I'll link it down below, and you guys will have to get it because it's so good. Not just if you've been married for the first couple years of your life. This book, if you haven't read it, you should read it now. They also have one that is like for over 40. So like you could read it now.
They've got one for the old people.
Not that old. We're not old guys.
My voice sounds like that.
We're just experienced, okay? But what I'm saying is these are really good books. And this is what we honestly is kind of like the major points that helped our child prepare for marriage. Now we'll see how it works out. Okay, we will
because they're all
let you
different.
know later.
They're all different, and we will have to deal with that as it comes. But this is what we've done. This is what we've tried. All parents mess up. I'm sure we've screwed up a quadrillion times.
A lot.
So I would love comments down below on what your thoughts are on this, and you can roast us on some of these. I am all good with that because I would love to hear your perspectives, your opinions, because that's going to help me be like, oh, well, that's idiotic, or oh man, that's great. Why didn't we do that? We're going to add that one in. We still have 3 kids left.
We will. We love to take advice. We love to hear all sorts of solutions that are working for you. If you want to check out a previous podcast where we talked to our younger kids about sex when they turned 8, and then having follow-up conversations. Another good communication podcast that we have is the Safety Couch.
Oh,
and
yeah, that's a good one.
That one's a couple seasons old, so we might revamp that one and have that one come out. We should have the Safety Couch for teens and adult children.
Well, they've had to use that, so.
They really have. And honestly, we've got some really great content coming up, but we want to hear from you. What podcasts do you guys want us to share? What experiences or things that you're having that you want to hear us talk about? Because we've got so many more episodes coming up. Our next one that you should be looking forward to is us sharing all sorts of information about LDS missions. So if you have any questions about that,
dirty little secrets.
I don't know what those are, but
hey, I live.
Comment down below. Ask any question that you want. We will answer as much as we can in the podcast time.
All right. Thank you guys.
We'll see you guys next time on Raising Ohana.
Bye.